Yep. And then okay. All right. And here's Amy. All right. Here we go. Hang on. Okay.
We need to start over.
Can you get my speaker?
Where's the HDMI cord? Oh, sorry.
See, it's all good. There we go. My name is Amy Sutter. SutterGirl is my MO. I'm a group fitness instructor, personal trainer, fitness nutrition specialist, professional bodybuilder, mindset coach, rap artist, rapper, and shared strength speaker who always brings the mojo. Well, this thought led to another. It was divine inspiration. And the next thing that you know, my heart pulled across it. Mojo-tivation. Mojo-tivation. Positive power, yo. Empowering truly total transformation. Building your next better, best, stronger. Mind, body, and soul. Because you're putting in the work. Training hard on this journey, your personal quest. But your ambition, cross a plan, and positive visual triggers so you stay on point and reach success. You got an open invitation to join the Mojo Innovation Tribe, where we stay strong and share our strengths, creating contagious, positive vibes. Just go to www.mojoinnovation.com and subscribe. Or there's other forms of social media out there for you to view. You got the Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Etsy too. For those of y'all looking to take a deeper dive through your very own 3-day Zen excursion, living through all the how-tos of a healthy lifestyle kind of learning, holla at my SutterGirl self to book a Mojo immersion. All right, all you fine VA people, let's get to up talking the reason why we're all here. Learning and absorbing the importance of nutrition, movement, and mindset day out and day in through any given year. Let's do a little brain in with some fun, informal, informative conversation without any further delay. Let's get the shared strength session rocking. All right, praise the Lord. Miracles right now. Thank you, Jesus. All right, how do you present and then go into so I can click? If you'll just get it to look at us rocking your logo and the whole thing. All right, clicker mode is where I want to be, right on that slide. Super fresh. Okay, so what I would like to do, at the risk of y'all dozing off, because you just ate, I'm well aware, as did I, is we're going to do a little fun visualization, okay? But as a way of, I have squirrel moments. Some people call that ADHD. I'm not formally diagnosed, but, squirrel. So to mitigate that, I'm going to ask y'all to close your eyes, okay? And I want you, as you close your eyes, to take a couple deep breaths in. So I want you to really inhale through your nose, feel your abdomen, your belly expand with air filling it up, and then open mouth, exhale, and you can go, or whatever sound effect makes you feel good. So do a couple deep breaths like that and kind of settle in to what we're doing, okay? Keeping your eyes closed. All right, so I'm going to take us all back to one of, if not the best days of your life. Y'all ready? Okay. The day you were gifted the greatest gift you ever received. I see some people with their eyes open. I'd just like to have you close them, please. Because I really want you to see this. I want you to think about the greatest gift you ever received. Really dive deep, not just to recall, but to relive the entire moment, the whole scene. When? What time of year was it? The season, the occasion. Where? In your home? At a restaurant? A destination in the midst of traveling on vacation? Who? The person or group of people doing the gifting, as well as those there sharing it and witnessing your amazing moment. What? What did you feel? What emotions? What sensations? How? How did you respond upon receiving such a precious gift? How did you express your gratitude? And finally, how did you or have you continued to sustain, maintain, nurture, and care for your greatest ever gifted gift? Now, keeping your eyes closed, I know it seems like a long time, but just hang with me here. Really relishing in, reliving this moment. I offer y'all this thought to contemplate and envision. All of us in this room share one big thing in common. Having been granted the gift to exist. Brought into this big, wide, wonderful world as one of the Creator's miraculously, spectacularly, uniquely purposed creations. Each of us specifically designed and equipped with natural-born talents and strengths to fulfill our individual purpose in order to positively impact others with whom we cross paths, and upon so doing, ultimately glorifying our gifter. While each of us has been created with unique traits and purposes, the other commonality all of us share pertaining to our gift to exist is the actual form containing our existence. We're all a bunch of beautifully crafted vessels. So now open your eyes and take in all these beautifully, gorgeously, handsomely. I'm not going to leave you out, George. And where'd they go? The video people left. Anyway, take in all these gorgeous vessels in the room, y'all. Spectacular. Yes, we're all a bunch of perfectly imperfect vessels. In fact, the designer reminds us of our imperfection and our room for further improvement. At least that's why I think we've all been given a crack. Thank you. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of humor there. Thank you. Yes. All right, but let's dive deeper a little bit into the term vessel. Merriam-Webster's, who I'm looking at here, they give us 4 very interesting definitions. The first is no surprise, a container, a cask. Oh, I gotta remember to forward my slides here. A container, a cask, which is probably the most commonly thought of definition. This one's a little different, kind of out there. A person into whom some quality such as grace is infused, a child of light, a vessel of the Lord. The next one I find comical. It says a watercraft bigger than a rowboat. So, I mean, if it ain't bigger than a rowboat, just forget it, it's not a vessel. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Okay, and the fourth one is a tube or canal, such as an artery, in which a fluid is contained and conveyed or circulated. So I like the fact they put this in here because it reminds us that a vessel is not stagnant. It is a container, and it can also move and transfer and be carrying something. All right, so our vessel is composed of 3 functioning features: our mind, our bodies, and our souls. The mind is essentially the computer that controls all this bodily functionality, sending operating signals to organs, nervous system, cardiovascular system, and it's, our emotions. It functions both on a cognitive level, where we're thinking about what our body is going to do, and then it does it, and also involuntary, such as, now we were mindful with our breathing, but for the most part, we're breathing automatically. Same goes for your heartbeat and digestion. But most important of all the mind's functioning systems is the belief system. The power source for everything we ever envision and take action to bring to fruition. So, let's get to the body. The body is actually the vessel, right, that's containing all these operating systems, and it's capable of moving and thinking and allowing and empowering us to create and interact, literally carrying us through our life experience. And our soul is the deepest aspect of our being, our existing that guides us, inspires us, and motivates us to live out our purpose. The soul is our inner fire, our inner desire that requires satisfaction, or what I refer to as soul fulfillment. That non-negotiable sought-after desire is the driver of our heart's desire and main source of motivation that keeps us ever striving toward fulfilling our purpose. Well, during my little wrapped intro, I mentioned that I'm an artist. And from that perspective, I have a framework that has led to an obsession when it comes to design being intentional, efficiently functional, and sustainable. You know, all those good things. And the prime perfect example that marks the epitome of fully delivering that level of design is your cell phone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really just kidding. Just seeing if y'all are paying attention at all. Okay, no, it's a wonderful tool. Steve Jobs did a great job. No pun intended, but anyway. Okay, so the master designer delivered design perfection when creating your body. Yes, can I get an amen? Hallelujah. Come on. All right, well, every part is designed specifically with purpose, functionality, each system working together collaboratively, efficiently, incorporating a level of sustainability in that the body is designed to heal itself. As the designer anticipated the adverse conditions that our body would face and needed to be equipped to endure and sustain us through each of our individual life journeys. So shifting our perspective of the body as the greatest gift we each ever received, a gifted vessel designed intentionally, perfectly, purposely, uniquely equipped to deliver our mission individually so as to impact this world positively, illustrates more clearly the importance of being a good steward of this beyond amazing tool we each received for free. Okay? And that mental shift in and of itself serves as a source of inspiration for living intentionally and with the goal of maintaining our bodies with a sense of urgency and responsibility. Because the onus is on us. Literally on us. And I like to think of that little space between the on and us as the freedom to choose and the power we possess to optimize our life quality, the living quality of our life, and maximize our longevity. Because I don't know about y'all, but I want to be living every day in such a way that if, let's just say the good Lord has me here till 90, I want my 90-year-old self thanking me and not cussing me out. You feel me on that one? I mean, come on. All right, so we are going to talk. There we go. That's me on the. There I am, 90 years old. We'll see. So the keys of longevity are mouth, movement, and mindset. Now, in my intro, I said we were going to talk today about the importance of nutrition, movement, and mindset. But April's known me a long time. She knows I love wordplay, and she knows I'm all about a good opportunity for alliteration. But it makes sense, right? Because where does nutrition begin? At your mouth. No matter what it is, it's got to go there. So I'm going to take a friend along the way with us. Now, this is a guy that I never met because, and chances are good, none of y'all met him either because he's from 2,500 years ago. He's known as the father of medicine, Hippocrates. Anybody heard of him? Anybody? Yeah, okay. Well, he's going to come along this journey today with us. And I wanted to start out with one of my favorite quotes from him. And it's this one. The greatest medicine of all is teaching people how not to need it. Okay. So let's go back to our mouth here a little bit. So that's where it's all going to start. But as a trainer, I'm always talking to my clients about proper form as they're executing their various exercises, right? Want to get the form first, and then we'll add some load to it. Make sure you can maintain that form. Well, it's really no different when we talk about our mouth, but I just call that fork to face form. You gotta get the right thing on your fork that's going into your face. You still with me, people? Okay. All right, so I think you're starting to get a sense of why nutrition is important, but let's talk about why it's important to improve from where we might be right now. There's always more room for improvement no matter what we're doing, right? Well, here's just a few bullet points for you. Why it matters. 70% of Americans are overweight or obese. Chronic diseases, heart disease, diabetes, hypertension are all on the rise. And two main culprits of those two bullet points is due to sedentary lifestyles, known as the new smoking. And the second is processed foods. And I just learned a new nugget, just you know how things go when you're preparing for something. You get divine inspiration and more resources thrown at your way. Did you know that 73% of the American food supply, what we have access to feed ourselves, is ultra processed food? Okay, so I'm just bringing that home a little deeper. But it's becoming imperative to shift our mindset when we think about our food and getting that proper fork to face form. We need to shift it completely to food as medicine. And so that's where my friend Hippocrates hops right back in. He tells us everyone has a doctor in him or her. We just have to help it in its work. The natural healing force within each one of us is the greatest force in getting well. Our food should be our medicine, and our medicine should be our food. So we're going to talk a little bit more about fueling the body, the brain, and the gut. Again, another thing I talk about, I'm all about empowering my people to become their next strongest version of self, mind, body, and soul. Each three of those require proper fueling. You got to properly fuel your mind, your body, and your soul. And fuel matters. Your food choices impact your energy or lack thereof. It also impacts your brain functionality and your gut health. Different foods, especially ultra-processed foods that are high in sugar, are going to jack up your blood sugar balance. Well, blood sugar balance is critical to mental clarity. So excess sugar can lead to brain fog. Your brain is 60% fat. So we need to be fueling it with healthy fats. And the best category of those that we're talking about is omega-3s for cognitive function. Now here's a nugget, the last bullet, that may not be something you've heard of before, but can you see? Okay. So did you know that your brain has two guts? Or excuse me, your body has two guts. So your gut is the second brain. When that food hits your gut and it starts the digestive process, hormones are going to get released, a lot of signals are going to happen, but that gut is then sending out signals back to the brain. And so here's another nugget from our friend Hippocrates. All diseases start in the gut. So it's up to me what I put on my fork or in my chopsticks or on my hand and put it in my mouth, and it's going to my gut, which is my second brain. It's going to tell the body to do different things. And that's where all disease stems from. That whole food as medicine becomes a little bit more stronger message, right? And who's totally in control of it? You. So that should be good news. That should be really good news. Well, here's another nugget you may not know, or a term you may not know. Has anybody in here ever heard or talked about the microbiome? You're familiar? Okay, good. Okay, so in general speaking terms, that's just an environment where microorganisms are present. In this regard, we're talking about your gut. And there are trillions of bacteria supporting digestion, immunity, brain function. And we depend on this vast army of microbes to stay alive, to empower that microbiome, to protect us against germs, to break down the food, to get that energy release, and absorb all the nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And two other terms you've probably been well aware of, prebiotics and probiotics. Those are what fuel our microbiome and nourish the good bacteria in our microbiome and result in a thriving gut and overall good health. So we want to maintain that heavy, high level of good bacteria in our gut. And this is what it kind of looks like, just to freak you out a little bit. So that's your intestines, and those little colorful things, those are good bacteria, right? There could get some bad bacteria in there that you want these good ones to be healthy enough to fight off. All right, some practical applications for properly fueling your brain and gut. You've probably heard of this, not too new. Eat more fiber. That supports good gut bacteria and digestion. So apples are a good source of fiber, leafy greens, beans, whole grains, with the exception, I told somebody earlier I was going to rock their world on something they said they had had for breakfast. Oats. Oats should only be fed to farm animals. And I'm going to leave it at that because that could be a whole other talk. All right, we also need to be incorporating more fermented foods. So kimchi, yogurt, specifically A2 organic yogurt, which has good bacteria in it, sauerkraut, kefir. Kefir is, if you're not familiar, is like a more liquidy, it's still pretty thick, but it's more, you could drink it. It's like a drinkable yogurt. All of those have natural probiotics that are going to fuel the microbiome in a good way. And then boost the omega-3 intake. We kind of touched on that. Fatty fish. Walnuts are probably the healthiest of all the nuts. Flax seeds, again, that's going to lead to sharper thinking, better memory. And here's just one way, but have y'all heard of leaky gut? So there's some foods out there that unfortunately have these things called lectins in them. Two examples being tomatoes and almonds. And those lectins, and I'm not telling you to never eat a tomato or an almond again, but here's what you need to do to remedy that. They can make little tiny micro tears. So that picture of your microbiome, it could make a leak, but then that's going out into your blood system or bloodstream, which you don't want that waste. You want it staying in the thing and going out the back door, if you follow me, right? Okay, so chia seeds are a great way to patch those holes and counter that. So if you heard chia seed and that was the first thing that came to mind, chia. Yeah, I love that picture. So that's sprouted chia seeds. Obviously that's a bowl of chia seeds in the middle. And the last thing you'd want to do is get a big old spoon and just scoop it in there and take a big mouthful. That would suck. So what you want to do is get like that A2 organic yogurt I was talking about and throw some chia seeds in there, let them bloom. They're going to become more like caviar, if you will. Or roe, if you're a sushi lover like me. Anyway, better way to consume your chia seeds. Okay, let's keep going. So fiber, that in the middle is kimchi. It's fermented cabbage. I'm not a fan of sauerkraut, but just like kimchi, they're coming up with all these more interesting flavor profiles. So maybe I'll circle back around and try sauerkraut. All right, so a little bit more. Here's the practical application. Limit. Well, it says limit processed foods. I would say eliminate processed foods and artificial sweeteners. They disrupt the microbiome. Hydrate. Water is also one of the main components of your brain. You need to ensure that you're properly hydrating those. So you don't want to drink too much water, and you don't want to be drinking just plain water, especially if it's been we were just talking about it being a brutal summer and sweating profusely just walking outside. Well, you're losing your electrolytes. Like if you ever happen to catch a little drip of sweat on your mouth and it tastes salty, I mean, I'll show you what those are in a second on the next slide, but you're losing that. So you've got to replenish your electrolytes. Because if you don't, and if you also happen to have a sugar drop at the same time, you will pass out. And I've done it to myself, taught a class, sweated profusely, just didn't get it in soon enough. Thought I was okay. I was training somebody. Like, look, I got to sit down. You got to give me a Gatorade or something. All right, we also need to be mindful when we're eating. That body-brain connection is a real thing. Slow down. Enjoy your food. It should taste good, I'm a foodie. It can taste good and still be healthy. And then listen to when you're hungry. Don't just be mindlessly, eating calories that aren't really helpful. And just back to ultra-processed foods, they really are weapons of mass destruction. So So back to the electrolytes. Coconut water, pictured up there, that is one of the best ways to get electrolytes. Electrolytes are sodium, potassium, fluoride, and carbon dioxide right there. I show a glass with lemon water because that's another way, typically you would think of lemons or lime, citric things with citric acid. However, putting lemon in your water can actually make your system more alkaline and balance your pH, if you didn't know that. So here's a couple items on the market or out in the marketplace where you could replenish your electrolytes. Anybody heard of Liquid IV or Element? They just got fancy. Instead of spelling the whole word out, it's LMNT, Element. They do have a salty taste to them, but they have a bunch of different flavors and sugar-free options. But again, if you had a sugar drop, that would be the exception where you'd want to get some sugar with the electrolytes. All right, so we're gonna do a quick little fork to face form challenge. So this is interactive. It's meant to be, are you still awake with me? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a this versus that, like fuel versus fool, we'll say, kind of thing. So I'm gonna give you examples on the screen and you tell me, yell out which one you think is the more healthy option. The banana. Well. Oh, sorry, it's protein powdered protein shake. Yes, I meant to clarify that. The powder ended up in here, we shook it up, and now it's a protein shake. Thank you. So. These people are very detail oriented. And those are good questions that you should be thinking about, but we're just gonna say in general speaking terms, okay? It's actually the protein shake. Because the banana is actually high on the glycemic index, which is sugar. It rates the amount of sugar in foods. And it's higher in sugar, so it's going to give you a burst of energy, but you're going to have a real quick crash after it. Whereas a protein shake has protein, carbohydrates, and some fat. It's more sustained energy, okay? All right, that was fantastic. Let's do another one. Okay, that's a protein bar on the left. Stack of protein bars versus our friends at Sargento, who are calling this product Balanced Breaks with cheese and nuts and dried fruit. Which is better?
Protein bars. Protein bars.
Can be. Anyway, in this particular comparison, it's the Balanced Breaks. However, I'm going to school y'all a little bit more on something you may not be aware of. Like protein bars, first and foremost, they should be called in 9.5 times out of 10 carbohydrate bars. Because if you flip it over and look at the nutritions panel, the protein grams is lower than the carbs. Sometimes they're neck and neck, most of the times they're not. So there's that. With the Balanced Breaks, okay, cheese and nuts. Y'all think that's protein source, no doubt. So it's not. Who said fat? Thank you. So yes, there's this much protein, that much fat. Okay, so that is going to be fat. And then here's the thing with dried fruit. That elevates the sugar level. Okay, so y'all have some, okay. All right, good. All right, let's do one more. Okay, so we got a gorgeous salad and the ice cream sundae. Which is better? Which is the healthier? No, which is the healthier option? What else does it depend on?
The dressing.
Yeah, what else? How about the nuts? And how about the nuts? How about those nuts? Are they sugar coated? Are they? Yeah. So essentially, you're looking at two different sundaes. Because by the time you put the creamy dressing, this has toppings with a foundation of ice cream. That has toppings with a foundation of lettuce, and depending on the lettuce, it really doesn't have that much nutritional value. So neither one is a great option, okay? Because it could be 5,000 calories in that. All right, I'm going to skip through the next couple for the sake of time. Okay, but all those examples, all those sources had calories, right? And so come on a little trip with me. Y'all went on a road trip to get here, a bunch of y'all, right? So you probably took a nature break along the way and probably got a snack, right? You probably needed a snack or something. So when you went in there, I'm just guessing that maybe you were looking at two different things you might choose for your little pick-me-up snack. So you flipped it over to look at the nutrition facts, and the main number that you looked at was calories, right? Probably? Yes? No? Okay, well, some of y'all are school more than others, I don't know. But let's just say you're like, I want to see what the calories are. Well, here's the thing. When we're talking about calories, we want to focus on the quality of the calorie. Because a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. They're not all created equal. So another comparison here for you, and this obviously is not about which is more nutritious. This is to make the point that in theory, that lovely chicken breast plate could have the exact same number of calories as these 3 gloriously glazed and dipped in Fruity Pebbles that look like cereal. But here's the differentiator. It's the signals that are going to get sent. When the chicken hits your system, it's going to tell the body, it's going to release hormones that say build muscle and burn fat. And when the donuts hit it, it's going to tell you put more insulin or blood sugar surge and then store the fat. So we got to be really mindful of what quality calorie we're consuming. So nutrition, it's got calories, but it's got nutrients. But there's a couple categories of nutrients. So we have macronutrients, which consist of the protein, the carbohydrates, the fats that we were talking about. And then you've got your micronutrients, which are vitamins and minerals. Well, the macronutrients are our main source of fuel, okay? And they have calories associated with them. Micronutrients are more like the spark plugs that assist the engine in working. There's no calories associated with them. But the protein is going to build and repair. We're talking about building muscle. Carbohydrates, quick energy. And they're, not all carbohydrates are bad, but we want to be taking in the more fibrous ones, which are going to slow down the body, breaking them down and have a more steady energy release. And then fats are all about protecting and sustaining us. Vitamins, one of the micronutrients, is about healing, boosting immunity, and energy. So when you think about a vitamin associated with your energy level, no doubt you think about the Bs, like B12, right, B6. And then minerals are more about sustaining our healing our bones, keeping our blood working operatively, and our nerves. So when I was talking, I believe when we first had our first chat, Belinda, I mentioned macros, and you're like, I've heard of that term, but I don't really understand what a macro, what's that all about? Well, basically it's talking about these type of nutrients as our main sources of fuel, and getting the right percentage of them for our entire day's worth of total calories, okay? So protein, when you're looking at protein, it has 4 calories per 1 gram of protein. Carbohydrates also has 4 calories for 1 gram of carbohydrates. Fats, though, has 9 calories for 1 gram of fat. So when you're looking at a nutrition panel, you'll be looking at all those numbers. And here's what must be included on a nutrition facts panel. This is government regulated, FDA. Total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, sodium, total carbohydrates, dietary fiber, total sugars, added sugars, protein, and then certain vitamin and minerals, the percent daily values of vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. But so here's just a way, this is a easy math example of working with a client on how to determine their macros. And so typically I'm going to have my clients at the highest percentage of these 3 macronutrients, the protein, since it's the building block and restore recovery. Carbohydrates is going to be the next lower number, and then fats. That's just for easy math. Typically I would have protein highest, fats just a touch higher, and then whatever's left over as carbs, okay? And that equals, these percentages equals 100%, but this is the percentage of whatever that total calories for your entire day is. And there's formulas to figure out the number of calories per day you should take in based on the goals for yourself. So I do fuel plans for people, and I call it fuel plans because I think diet is a word that screams temporary, and I was telling Tori earlier today that it stands for did I eat that? So we're fueling our bodies, but we really need to take into consideration the quality of the calories and making sure we're getting those in the proper percentages of that total daily caloric intake. Because here's the thing, if you're not taking in enough of the right calories, your body will go into a mini starvation mode, and it doesn't care what they are at that point. It's protecting itself, and when it's in protection mode, it will store everything as fat. But I rarely, if ever, give my clients that daily caloric intake number, the number of calories, because it's too easy to forget about the quality, right? They're like, well, you told me I could have 3,500 calories in a day, and I ordered a pizza, and it was only 2,500. Yeah, but the messaging and the signaling that got sent after eating that did not support our goal in building muscle and burning fat, okay? Are y'all following me? Okay. Y'all are doing good for having just had a lovely lunch. All right. So the other thing, we've got to read the ingredients. Oh my gosh, you got to read the ingredients. Educate yourself. If it ends in os, no matter what, it's sugar, no ifs, ands, or buts. The ingredients are listed from the greatest percentage to the least. If sugar number 1, put it back on the shelf. If there's too many ingredients, you can't pronounce them, put it back on the shelf. Here should be one that you talked about, Belinda. Stay away from seed oils. And I've got a list that I can get to y'all. I was going to say, I can get y'all's emails and I'll send y'all kind of a PDF cheat sheet, okay?
Can you tell us why?
Yes, I can tell you why. And I want to make sure I get it right, so just hang on a second here. Okay, so the industry, I call it big food. We've got big pharma, we got big farming these days, and we got big food. Favors seed oils because of their low cost, no surprise there, and their so-called heart-healthy reputation. But see, science doesn't back that so-called reputation. And seed oils are high in polyunsaturated fatty acids, especially linoleic acid. I may have butchered how you say that, but that's how I'm going to say it. And that linoleic acid is 50% of most seed oils. So it can accumulate in your body over time. And that's the other thing about fat in our body. It stores toxins. That's no bueno, not good at all. But here's the thing that seed oils can do. They can cause our fat cell to expand or grow beyond their healthy size. There's that. It causes more fatty acids to be released into our bloodstream. Also not a good thing. It triggers inflammation. And so when we think of inflammation, most of the time we're thinking about, inflammation in our joints, or, we're feeling bloated or that kind of inflammation. But we really need to be getting really mindful about the cellular level, because it's the cells, and when they get inflamed, they actually get an extra layer on top of them. They now can't take fully in the good, then they can't fully release the waste that they need to get out of there, and then that extra layer is blocking the receptors for hormones to be able to communicate those signals that we're saying all these different macros generate. So that is really what we've got to get down to, our microbiomes and that cellular level. But anyway, so then it's a total metabolic disruption that these seed oils can create.
Can you name what the seed oils are?
I will. So here's the ones. Canola oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil, hemp seed oil, rice bran oil, safflower oil, sesame oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. Those are the no buenos. So the good ones, ghee, Indian cooking, basically clarified butter, right? Tallow, which is a beef source of fat. Avocado, but it needs to be unrefined, which my understanding of that term is no heat. Like you don't want these things hot pressed, they need to be cold pressed. So avocado oil, olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, no spreading the legs. Sorry. I'm gonna crack myself up like me, myself, and I typically do on a 24/7 basis. Okay, coconut oil, again, unrefined, cold pressed. Now, you may or may not know coconut oil is solid at room temperature, but that's not bad. Like there's other, like lard. Butter. Butter's good. Like, organic butter. Okay?
I think Jenny had a question.
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So you said grapeseed oil, so this is strictly for intake, not necessarily for skin health.
Right.
Okay.
And most products out there have got, if not one, all of them, like, chips and things like that. And, it's in the ingredients. So another reason to read your ingredients. Yes, ma'am.
So you said olive oil was bad, but extra virgin olive oil is good.
Extra virgin olive oil is the olive oil you want to get.
So
Yes.
is there a determination? Because I've seen, there's various manufacturers, and is there something we're looking for?
Yeah, cold pressed.
Cold press.
Cold pressed extra virgin. That would be the two main things.
I also heard that the olives have to be sourced from a single country because there's some control on it. So if it's like half from here and there, it gets.
Yeah, well, if they don't know if there's, if they're not organic, like they have sprayed one and they blend it with another, yeah. One source is probably going to take out more variables that could be in the olive oil. Yeah. Okay? All right, let's get into movement. All right, here's our friend Hippocrates again. He said, and forgive him, he's from 2,500 years ago. He just talked about a man in this particular slide. I'm not a feminist. I love men. I love everybody. But anyway, he did use them both in the earlier quotes, though. Walking is everybody's best medicine. Okay, fantastic. So typically when we talk about movement, you think about exercise. And exercise isn't just about weight loss, and I may get into weight loss a little bit deeper here in a moment. Exercise is about energy, that mental clarity, and building the body's resilience. Its benefits these are just a few: reduces risk of chronic disease, boosts your mood, and reduces stress, increases energy and mobility, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. And let me just tell you this, my personal experience, I do a lot of group fitness, and one of my favorite things that I teach is indoor cycling. And I sweat like a wild woman in that thing. I get fired up, I got the music pumping. I come out of there on fire. I mean, I am like in a different orbit. And it is the greatest natural high because those endorphins are going, the serotonin and the dopamine are full frontal lobe. It's awesome. So it's the natural high. It's all the more reason to do it. So movement is important, but I'm gonna really drive that point home here in the next couple slides. So we talked about that the body, and y'all said we're well aware that the body had a second brain, and the second brain being your gut. Did you know that your body has a second heart? Oh, good. Got a new nugget. I love it. Okay, well, we'll see if I'm not really going to play this video because it's kind of exaggerated with the heart in your calf. But okay, this region, your calf, your gastrocnemius muscles, and your soleus right here, as it has right here. Gastrocnemius, the soleus right here. Okay, but I wanted you to see this because you can see that there's some veins coming down through here. There's nerves too. So the veins that are coming through your calf muscle are one-way valve, supposed to be a functioning one-way valve to keep the blood flowing in the proper direction. And the way that our body was designed by the perfect creator to fight gravity and get that blood to keep pumping in the right direction and but come up to the heart to get reoxygenated, because it's losing it as it's cycling out. That's why it's got to keep circulating back around, come back through, get more oxygen. So those muscles in your calf, the gastrocnemius and your soleus, contract to push that blood, fight gravity, and push it back up and around for reoxygenation. So if you don't move, guess what's not contracting? Right. So guess what ain't pumping and ain't fighting gravity to get that blood back up for more oxygen and to keep this whole thing happy and happening, right? So it's pretty wild. You got to keep moving. Yes.
Why when you sit for a long time, your feet go to sleep?
And swell,
Yeah.
and you can get edema and all kinds of things. Yes. So if you remember, just a slide or two back, our friend Hippocrates said walking is the best medicine. Walking is one way to ensure that your calves and your soleus are contracting and doing their job.
So when my Apple Watch says get up and move, I should really get up.
Yeah, so we're talking about that. Yeah, so I want to talk about something that's really neat. It is really neat. But first I'm going to confess a little something, something. That device, thank you so much. I'm going to pay you $20 for that, for bringing that in. I was not a fan of the Fitbits and these little devices that supposedly count your steps. Because just like calories, I'm like, what kind of step are we counting? I mean, a step is not a step is not a step. You're just strolling. I mean, how much you burning? You know what I mean? You can put some energy in that step, and we're talking about a step worth counting. But then I got schooled on the whole premise of this, so let's talk about it. It's neat. Non-exercise associated thermogenesis. Everybody say that with me. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's just talking about the body's body temperature elevating, right? That core body temperature, thermogenesis, making heat. So what kind of movement is categorized as neat? Well, let me tell you. It's just you living your best life, you know, walking around the house, shopper, you like shopping, right? When you're shopping, you got your calves pumping. Yes, things are happening. Walk around the office, your house, the store, fidgeting. So if you're a fidgeter, keep it on happening. Typing on the computer, so that should be great. Everybody's here. Gardening. Hey, Belinda, got one for you, but I'm gonna tell, I think that's wrong. I mean, that's cardiovascular, okay? And I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay. But all to say that a huge chunk of the energy that we are expending on a daily basis is neat type of energy and movement happening, okay? So a little bit more on that. They did a study, because you know they like to do studies, and one group of people were people who sat at their desk all day long, and then the minute they got done, they went to the gym and did like a 30-minute workout of some kind, okay? The other set of people were people that they move all day. They're those fidgeters. They're, walking around. They're doing whatever at their desk, typing, that kind of thing. But they did not have a structured workout. And the surprising result was that the all-day mover was actually better off in their health and fitness than the person who sat all day and then just went and had a workout at the end of the day. I am not saying, so please look at this line here. I am not saying we should just move more and not exercise, okay? We all need more neat, no doubt. And this is where I got schooled. Those devices were what they determined this whole neat movement was about how many steps constituted the basis of what's the best amount to get in a day. So 10,000 steps per day, based on this neat study, is how those Fitbit things really, that's the basis. And they figured out that that's basically 2 hours total time. But that does not mean you have to go for 2 solid hours, right? It's all day long, but it ends up being 2 hours time. The other reason we need to get more neat in our movement, or that type of movement, is because intense exercise elevates our cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It also is the hormone that will cause you to hold on to fat, not release it. But that's a healthy level that cortisol goes up. I mean, it's a good thing we're doing for ourselves, as long as we counter it with neat type movement, just walking, okay? So a prime example, the Japanese, they always are ahead of us when it comes to health. Don't you feel like the Japanese are? And so they perfected this neat, bringing the cortisol levels down. It's called Shinrin Yoku. Yeah. So it means forest bathing. And they have the optimal setting because they've got bamboo forest all over the place, and it's that nice calming green. But find a park, forest, and go stroll. So this is just strolling. That also is going to allow you to have some deep thinking, and it's just overall good for yourself. But that's going to bring that cortisol level back down. So the takeaway is get more movement throughout a given day. You'll be better off moving all day and then doing an intense workout, as long as you then cool down and get your Shinrin Yoku on. Okay? All right, so mobility. Let's talk about mobility. So we're going to talk about mobility as if the body is a chain of movement. And like any chain, it's only as strong as its weakest link. So along this chain, we've got power, flexibility, mobility, balance, strength, coordination, muscle mass, stability, agility, speed. So we want to be training all of these facets along the chain. And we want to shift our mindset to think about mobility as a type of movement as medicine. So basically mobility is practical applications of doing exercises that mimic real life movements. Squatting to pick up objects, reaching overhead in your kitchen to get plates or whatever's up there in your cabinets that you're reaching for. Rotating them, maybe you're getting your dryers here and you're getting the clothes out of the dryer and putting them in the basket, that kind of rotation through your torso. So that will increase or improve our strength and help us prevent injuries with those type of movements. And in my training, I've been here a minute and I've been doing this for around 32 years. And it's an ever-evolving science, nutrition and exercise or fitness. And when I was first getting into it, they're all about more rigid style training. It had to be perfect alignment. If you do a lunge, a forward lunge, you want that knee directly over your ankle, no knee past the toe. I mean, that had its place, and there is definitely, you've got to have the proper form. We do. But they're finding that it really makes more sense to put the joint through its full range of motion under a load to, yes, you've got to strengthen the muscles that are around a joint for the joint to get stronger, but you've got to put it through its whole range of motion. And first and foremost, you just start with your body weight and then progressively add some extra weight, whether it's a weighted vest or hand weights or what have you. But you really get better results by going through these types of movements that are going to mimic what and how we do to really move. All right. I think I have talked about all those things. Okay, so one other thing about mobility, and I am trying to get this more into my daily regimen, and I've got some good resources I can share with y'all on that same cheat sheet I talked about. But they have found with their clients who have had full-blown or torn ACLs, okay, that they could go through these types of strengthening mobility movements and prevent surgery. Same for people with torn labrums in their shoulders, hip issues. You name the joint, full-on tears, they were able to go through their program and totally get the body to heal and rehabilitate itself without having to go under the knife. And you were talking about that, so that's pretty cool. All right, and the other good news is that mobility is for everybody who has a body. It's accessible for beginners, no matter your age, old, young, what have you. These people also have people that started their program in their late 70s, 80s, somebody who was 90. So it's for everybody. And it's for people who are also recovering from injuries, can rehabilitate those injuries. So it's at any stage of life. And like I said, when you think about it, mobility as medicine, applying these exercises can prevent surgery. All right, so mobility movement as medicine is the key to longevity that we were talking about. So back to your comment about when the device tells me I need to get up and move, should I really move? Well, yes, but we need to be intentional. We need to be the ones telling the device when to tell us to get up and move. You follow what I'm saying? So we need to set timers for every 30 minutes, get up and move. That might also be to get up and fuel. I mean, I remember being in my corporate days when I wasn't traveling the nation, was back at home in my home office, come sit at the desk, I don't know, 8 in the morning, look at my clock, it's 1 in the afternoon, and I hadn't even got up to use the bathroom. That's no bueno for your bladder, for sure, but all those other things too. So we need to be setting timers for all those things, but not every day is necessarily the same either, right? So we've got different schedules per day. But you probably know a few days, a day in advance, a week maybe, what that week's gonna look like. So maybe you use your calendar and go into it to block out times within your timer that tells you when to do these things based on whatever that day looks like. Sound good? Awesome. All right, so we need to get up and do a few moves, right? So everybody stand up, get a little space. This is not gonna be too hard. We're gonna go through these moves. The first one, to get your second heart pumping, are just calf raises. So it's just going up. If you need to hold onto a chair, I mean, get your chair in front of you or to the side of you to be balanced. Just going up on the balls of your feet. And that's a calf raise. When you go into that raised position, that's when your gastrocnemius and your soleus contract. Everybody feeling that? All right, and I want to add a little something to it because breathing is key as well. So you want to inhale to prepare, exhale when you raise up, when the muscles contract. So anytime you're contracting or exerting effort, that's when you exhale. Exertion, exhalation. Y'all are just naturals. Look at you go. Okay, fantastic. All right, now get your chair so that you can just sit down and stand up. So you're just going to sit down and you're going to stand up. Sit down and stand up. I feel like we need some music for this. So you sit down in your chair, you come right back up. Maybe just barely touch your butt to the chair and come back up. But I want your weight back in your heels and your hips. Okay? Because you want to get out of your knees. We don't want to overload your knees. So I want you back out of your knees. We're on your heels and your hips.
So what is the exhale part in that?
So you're going to inhale to prepare, exhale when you stand up. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to really think about pushing your feet into the floor as you're coming up and create tension. You're coming straight up, so you're not throwing your back into it. You're coming straight up. You're going to put tension in your inner thighs and squeeze your butt like you're pitting an olive. Or a prune, or whatever, got a pit.
Whatever you do.
I got a story behind that, I'll tell it later. Okay, excellent. All right, y'all got the gist of that, right? All right, so one more thing though on the squats. Now let's add a little arm swing. So you're gonna swing your arms as you're going down into the squat. That's gonna help to activate your lymphatic system, which is the main hub of which is in your armpit. And that is a drainage system that is very important. All right, give me 2 more, and then just stand up and keep standing. All right, we're gonna do this thing. I don't know why it's called Jefferson curls. Maybe I should have done better intel on that before I got here. Really tall, I was showing you from the side. You're going to be really tall through your torso, crown of your head toward the ceiling, abs are in, and this is kind of slow, so you're gonna breathe through it as you do it, but you can inhale to prepare. Tuck your chin to your chest, and then start rolling through your shoulders downward. You can put your hands like on the front of your legs, and you're gonna go as low as you can. Now you may, if you have really tight hamstrings, which I venture to say everyone in this room does, and I'll tell you why in a minute, stop. If you're feeling really tightness in your hamstring, that's your limit, that's your range of motion for now. But you're gonna get to where you could go all the way in half and maybe grab your toes or touch the floor. And then you're gonna pull a reverse, and you're gonna pull from your glutes and your hamstrings, the back of your upper leg, and your core muscles to unfold yourself. And then your head will be the last thing. And if you want to, you can keep on going, shoulder blades down your back, and chin lift. Feels pretty good. Felt almost as good as a shot of tequila. Just kidding. Okay. Rotation with a knee bend. So let's get some hip rotation going. I want you to, since we're on carpet, but anyway, you're gonna lift the foot, lift to the ball of the foot, and a little knee bend. Lift. So you want to pick up your feet so you don't torque your knee and get stuck as you're going through the rotation. Boom. And maybe you can't go